You've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
Chaos erupts within the British royal family as Prince Andrew, Prince William, and Prince Harry unite in an unprecedented legal showdown against King Charles. At the heart of this explosive feud lies a mysterious, long-hidden letter from Princess Diana, containing secrets that could shake the monarchy to its core. With the Supreme Court now involved, the battle threatens to expose untold truths and redefine the future of the British crown forever. King Charles, the monarch and the father. King Charles has spent nearly his entire life in the public eye, first as the Prince of Wales and now as the reigning monarch. But for all the royal engagements and ceremonial duties he's juggled, another big challenge has always been his role as a father. Charles's relationship with Prince William and Prince Harry has been shaped by tradition, public expectations, and the pressures of being next in line to the throne for so many years. As a father, Charles has sometimes been described as distant, though some insiders insist he tried his best, given the unusual environment his sons were raised in. Both William and Harry spent their childhoods under constant media attention, making a normal family life nearly impossible. As they got older, Charles needed to prepare William to one day inherit the crown, which meant possibly spending more time with William on future plans or official training. Harry, meanwhile, has pointed out in interviews and in his memoir, Spare, that he often felt like he came second to royal duty. This kind of criticism gives a glimpse into how hard it must have been for Charles to juggle fatherhood and duty. It's not just Charles as a dad that draws attention. He's also a brother. While there were always whispers about a certain rivalry between him and Prince Andrew, nothing was ever openly confirmed. In their younger years, Andrew seemed to relish a more carefree lifestyle, while Charles was tied to the idea that someday he would be king. Today, as monarch, Charles has had to deal with Andrew's controversies head-on. He's made decisions, such as limiting Andrew's involvement in public events, that reflect a need to protect the royal family's reputation. These moves can seem harsh, but they also reveal the heavy weight Charles now carries as the figurehead. When it comes to leadership, Charles's approach seems to mix tradition with a cautious openness to change. On the one hand, he's recognized for championing environmental causes for decades, long before it became mainstream. On the other, when it comes to family matters, he often seems to retain an old-fashioned reserve. While he might prefer to keep personal issues private, the modern media landscape has made that nearly impossible. People want to know how he really feels about Harry relocating to another country, or Andrew stepping away from public life in disgrace. Still, being king demands that Charles think about the monarchy's future above all else, which can conflict with personal connections. He must put the institution first, a dilemma that can strain his relationships. William appears cooperative, probably because he's aware he'll inherit that same responsibility. Harry's decision to walk away suggests he felt too constrained by it. Meanwhile, Andrew's troubles have forced Charles to act decisively to uphold public respect for the crown. Prince Andrew, the disgraced royal prince. Andrew was once seen as an energetic and sociable member of the royal family. Whether at fancy galas or charity events, he appeared comfortable and outgoing, carving out a public image as someone who enjoyed the perks and responsibilities of royal life. But that image took a massive hit due to his controversial links to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Andrew is often called a disgraced royal, a figure who stays mostly out of view while dealing with the fallout of past decisions. Andrew was born into a life of privilege as Queen Elizabeth II's second son. In that sense, he was the spare of his generation, a term sometimes used to describe a royal who isn't directly in line for the throne. This gave him more freedom than King Charles, who had to follow a strict path as the heir. Andrew's early years saw him serve in the Royal Navy, and he was even dubbed the Party Prince in the tabloids, partly because of his social circle and international travels. For a while, that easygoing image worked in his favor. However, once news broke about Andrew's friendship with Epstein, everything changed. Allegations and lawsuits arose, shining a not-so-flattering light on Andrew's personal judgment. The situation reached a tipping point when the prince gave a TV interview to clear his name. Instead, it made the public even more doubtful, leading to calls for him to step back from his royal duties. King Charles, concerned for the monarchy's reputation, supported a decision to limit Andrew's official roles. By the time Charles ascended to the throne, Andrew was already sidelined, effectively removed from the broader royal spotlight. Behind palace doors, Andrew's relationship with Charles has likely been strained by these events. Some say Andrew never felt fully supported by his older brother, even before the scandals. While there might have been sibling rivalry over the years, it's turned more serious now that Andrew is seen as a liability. Charles, as the reigning monarch, has no choice but to protect the crown's image, which means keeping Andrew at arm's length. Prince William and Prince Harry don't seem close to Andrew either. William, ready to step into bigger responsibilities, likely wants to dodge any scandals that reflect badly on the monarchy. Their interactions, if any, are probably very formal now. Harry, on the other hand, stepped away from royal life for his own reasons, and it doesn't appear that he's embraced Andrew in any significant way. So Andrew, once a fixture in royal photographs, has slipped into the background, rarely seen at public events, and often omitted from discussions about the monarchy's future. Prince William, the dutiful heir. Prince William is often praised as the dependable face of a modern monarchy. From the time he was a boy, the world has watched him grow up. He's seen triumphs, like his wedding to Catherine, Princess of Wales, and tragedies, including the loss of his mother, Princess Diana. Through it all, William has been groomed to take the throne after King Charles, meaning his every move is viewed through the lens of a future monarch. Being the heir shapes William's day-to-day life and how he relates to other family members. He carries himself with the seriousness expected of someone who will eventually wear the crown. This mindset sets him apart from Prince Harry, who famously sought more freedom away from royal duties. William, on the other hand, tends to follow the established script, attending official engagements, focusing on charitable causes, and supporting his father's reign. In public, he projects calm and stability, traits that make him popular with many Brits. Still, William's bond with King Charles isn't without its stresses. They share a common goal of protecting the monarchy, but they might not always see eye to eye on how to handle family issues. For instance, dealing with Prince Andrew's controversies or Harry's revelations can stir up strong opinions. Some watchers say William plays a key role behind the scenes, encouraging Charles to be firm in order to maintain the monarchy's image. In this sense, William acts as both a supportive son and a partner in guarding the crown. Of course, one of the most talked about aspects of William's life is his complicated relationship with Prince Harry. They used to be seen as inseparable, the two young royals who helped each other cope after Diana's passing. But recent events, like Harry stepping down from senior royal duties and moving to the United States, have put a lot of distance between them. Add in Meghan Markle's presence, bringing in her own experiences, media attention, and viewpoints, and it becomes clear that William and Harry inhabit very different worlds now. Harry has vented frustrations about palace life and family dynamics, while William has mostly stayed quiet, which some see as proof of a significant divide. When it comes to Prince Andrew, William has taken a hard line. He wants the focus on essential royal duties and forward-looking efforts. Scandals like Andrew's can pull the monarchy backward, damaging its public image. William is well aware that one day he'll have to keep the institution strong, so he has supported the decision to limit Andrew's public roles. This stance shows how William is mindful of public opinion and the long-term health of the monarchy. Prince Harry, the rebel royal prince. Harry has long been known as the Spare, a label often used for royals who aren't first in line for the throne. Growing up, he saw his older brother, Prince William, groomed for the role of future king, while he enjoyed slightly more freedom. He was viewed as fun-loving and less burdened by rigid expectations. That spare tag may have shaped Harry's personality, making him more open to new experiences and quicker to step away from palace traditions. Over the years, Harry's relationship with his father, King Charles, has become a focal point of public interest. In his memoir, Spare, Harry talks about feeling overlooked or not fully understood. He refers to certain moments when he wished Charles had been more supportive or involved on a personal level, rather than focused on the weight of royal duty. At times, Harry's words paint a picture of a father-son bond that might still be mended, but only if both sides put in serious effort. While some see the tension as permanent, others believe reconciliation could happen if they find common ground and keep it away from the media spotlight. Harry's biggest falling out, however, seems to be with William. Once a tight pair, the two princes shared a special connection after losing their mother, Diana. But as adults, their paths split sharply. Harry recounts feeling that his interests and personal concerns didn't matter in the grand scheme of royal life, while William shouldered a huge sense of responsibility as the heir. The arrival of Meghan Markle introduced another layer of change. Harry felt a need to protect Meghan from what he viewed as unfair treatment, while William and others in the family may have seen the press coverage simply as part of royal life. The result was a deeper rift that Harry has publicly acknowledged in interviews, saying he's sad about the distance between them. What about Prince Andrew? Technically, Harry and Andrew have both been labeled spares at different points in history. Does that give them a bond? If so, it doesn't show up much in public. Andrew's scandal has forced the royal family to keep him on the sidelines. Harry hasn't openly aligned himself with Andrew, suggesting that rather than bonding them, Andrew's troubles may have nudged Harry even further away from the traditional royal fold. After all, Harry left on his own terms, not because of scandal, but because he felt the system itself no longer worked for him. William and Harry, brothers divided. Prince William and Prince Harry once seemed inseparable. After losing their mother, Diana, at a young age, the two brothers leaned on each other. They attended events together, joked around in interviews, and looked like a tight team, trying to manage the pain of growing up in the public eye. For a while, many people saw them as a heartbeat of the royal family, fresh, relatable, and united in their shared experiences. Over time, though, cracks began to show. Some say the first hints of tension sprung up around the time William got married. Harry, for years, was the fun younger brother, but he started feeling like a bit of a third wheel as William's focus shifted to building his own family life. Things escalated further when Harry met Meghan Markle. Her entry into royal life brought a whirlwind of press coverage. While some praised her modern style, others fiercely criticized her or questioned her motives. Harry felt protective, but William advised caution, wanting Harry to slow down and think about the challenges of such a high-profile union. When Harry stepped back from his royal duties, affectionately dubbed Megxit by the media, the divide became obvious. The two brothers hardly appeared together, and rumors of heated arguments surfaced. Harry's public remarks about the institution being stiff and unwelcoming clashed with William's sense of duty. William, as the next in line after King Charles, focused on upholding the crown's image, while Harry wanted personal freedom and a simpler life. Their differences in approach turned into a full-blown separation. Both physically, Harry moved abroad, and emotionally. Is reconciliation possible? Some observers believe time heals all wounds. They point out that the brothers still share deep memories of Diana and a love for charity work she inspired in them. If they can reconnect on those grounds, they might find a path back to brotherly respect. Others think the damage runs deeper because Harry has been open about feeling unsupported, while William might view Harry's criticism as a personal betrayal. It might take years, major apologies, or even more changes within the monarchy before they find solid forgiveness. Public perception of William and Harry is equally split. Many in the UK see William as the dutiful heir, carefully preparing for future kingship. He's seen as reliable, steady, and respectful of tradition. Harry, on the other hand, often seems like the opposite. Outspoken, willing to criticize family norms, and determined to carve out his own destiny. Some applaud Harry for bravely speaking his truth, while others think airing the family's dirty laundry is harmful and unfair to those left behind. In the end, the story of William and Harry is a complicated blend of shared trauma, differing responsibilities, and personal choices. For spectators, it's a real-life drama unfolding in front of cameras and tabloids. For the monarchy, it's a thorny issue that raises questions about how younger generations can adapt, or clash with, an institution steeped in tradition. Whether they can rediscover their old bond is anyone's guess, but their journey is sure to remain in the spotlight for years to come. Charles and Andrew, at odds. As children of Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles and Prince Andrew grew up in a family that ran on tradition and duty. But they didn't share the same role. Charles was the heir, carrying the weight of future kingship, while Andrew was free to define his own path as the second brother. Some watchers believe this set the stage for a quiet rivalry that simmered for decades, even if it rarely made headlines. In their younger years, Andrew enjoyed a more relaxed image. He served in the Royal Navy, went on playful excursions, and was labeled the party prince by some tabloids. Charles, meanwhile, was constantly reminded that he would inherit the crown. The difference in responsibilities may have led to tension. Charles had to be careful with appearances and public statements, while Andrew didn't face the same level of scrutiny, at least not until later. Those who have observed the family suggest Andrew may have felt overshadowed and sometimes sought ways to stand out. The real problems arose when Andrew became linked to controversies, especially the scandal involving Jeffrey Epstein. This put the monarchy in a tight spot because the public expected some form of accountability. Charles, who eventually took the throne, found himself in the uncomfortable position of balancing brotherly ties and royal duty. As king, Charles can't ignore negative public opinion, especially if it involves allegations that harm the monarchy's image. So, Andrew was sidelined, stripped of many titles and public roles. Some insiders say Charles didn't relish doing this, but saw no other way to protect the crown's reputation. Under Charles's leadership, Andrew's role slid into a state of uncertainty. While Charles hasn't outright disowned his brother, he has made it clear that Andrew won't be part of the monarchy's main operations. It's a practical choice. Many people feel Andrew's presence could do more harm than good at official events. The question remains whether Charles has any plan to rehabilitate Andrew's image over time, or if he believes it's best to keep his brother out of the spotlight for good. Rumors swirl about private family discussions, but nothing concrete has emerged to show an effort to pull Andrew back into the fold. This situation points to a bigger issue. How does a royal family handle internal scandals when the modern world demands accountability? For Charles, the line between sibling solidarity and institutional duty has become blurred. He can't risk the monarchy's reputation by openly defending Andrew, but also can't erase him from the family tree. The result is a careful, if strained, relationship that reveals the human side of royal life. They may have grown up with the same parents and traditions, but their roles diverged long ago, and those differences only grew when Andrew's controversies came to light. Diana's legacy. In family relationships, Princess Diana was more than just the mother of William and Harry. She was a global icon. Even decades after her tragic death, her influence remains a powerful force in the royal family's story. She brought a sense of warmth and openness the monarchy wasn't used to, shaping how many people view William and Harry today. From her charity work to her candid way of speaking, Diana left an unforgettable mark on her sons, which has continued to shape their decisions and relationships. Diana's biggest impact is seen in how William and Harry carry on her sense of empathy. Both men often mention their mother when discussing charitable causes, mental health, and the importance of being accessible to the public. In some ways, this has led them to approach royal life differently than older generations. For William, it means combining tradition with a more down-to-earth vibe, like his mother once did. For Harry, it sparked a strong need to protect his own family from the same media intrusiveness Diana endured. One can't help but wonder how things might have turned out if Diana were still alive. She may have acted as a mediator, healing rifts before they got too big. Some suggest she would have supported Harry's desire for a more private life, while also encouraging William to understand his brother's perspective. Without Diana, the brothers lost a unifying figure who could bridge the gap between them and, perhaps, cushion their differing needs. It's impossible to know for sure, but the what-if looms over their strained relationship. Diana's legacy also touches King Charles in a complicated way. Their marriage was famously troubled, and many people still link Charles to Diana's heartbreak. Even as king, Charles faces a public that continues to adore Diana. Sometimes this perfect memory of her overshadows how people view him now. While Charles is keen on modernizing the monarchy and focusing on his own priorities, he can't fully escape comparisons to the people's princess. Anytime conflict arises with his sons, some spectators recall Diana's past struggles and wonder if history is repeating itself in a different form. The public's perception also factors in. Diana was charismatic, and her warmth drew people in. William and Harry each carry a piece of that into their public roles. But the lasting memory of Diana also reminds folks of the difficulties she faced. from media harassment to personal stress inside the palace. As Harry has aired his grievances, many fans of Diana see him as following in her footsteps, calling out what he views as an unkind system. Others believe Diana would have urged him to remain within the fold, finding a gentler way to handle disagreements. In the end, Diana serves as a guiding light and a complicated legacy for this royal family. Her influence is clear in how William and Harry approach their roles and in how the people view Charles's leadership. Though she's gone, her spirit continues to shape family ties, providing both comfort and a reminder of unresolved issues. Everyone in the family seems to keep a piece of Diana with them, whether they focus on her compassion or the lessons learned from her struggles. Her memory remains a key part of the conversation, reminding us that the human side of royalty can leave the biggest impact of all. The Queen's effect on the family. Queen Elizabeth II led the British monarchy for over 70 years, a remarkable record that gave her a steady hand in dealing with countless family challenges. Throughout her reign, she maintained a strict sense of duty. She rarely showed open conflict when it came to personal matters, preferring to keep any tensions behind palace doors. Many believe her calm and consistent approach helped hold the family together during times that could have escalated into more public drama. Her influence was visible in how she guided her children and grandchildren. She had a knack for balancing tradition with small steps toward modernity, such as allowing television cameras behind the scenes at certain royal events. When crises occurred, like divorces, scandals, or disagreements, she often leaned on the old royal strategy of never complain, never explain. In many cases, it seemed to work. The public tended to see her as above everyday squabbles, which helped preserve a sense of stability for the monarchy. Now that the Queen has passed away, there's a sense of a vacuum at the top. King Charles has assumed the throne, but he doesn't command the same level of long-earned trust his mother did. Her death may have opened the door for underlying family issues to pop up more openly. With her steady presence gone, disagreements that once seemed manageable, like the tensions surrounding Prince Andrew's scandals or Prince Harry's departure, feel more raw and harder to contain. Some people wonder if she favored certain family members over others. Rumors have floated around that Prince Andrew was particularly close to her, possibly leading him to expect more leniency when his personal life attracted controversy. In contrast, Prince Harry has hinted that he wished for more direct intervention from the Queen when he and Meghan felt mistreated. The Queen herself never confirmed if she had favorites. Several royal observers argue that her level-headed stance allowed her to treat all family members with composure, even if they occasionally felt they weren't getting enough personal attention. Still, family dynamics can be complicated. While the Queen projected unflappable composure, each relative had a different kind of bond with her. Charles knew her as both mother and reigning monarch, balancing affection with formality. Andrew seemed to rely on her for emotional support when public criticism grew loud. William grew up aware he was a future king and formed a special connection with his grandmother, seeing her as a mentor. Harry often described her with great warmth, even as he broke away from the royal fold. Everyone had their own story when it came to the Queen. Without the Queen's quiet guidance, it's fair to assume the four central royals, Charles, Andrew, William, and Harry, have lost a central figure who could smooth over conflicts. In the Queen's absence, each must figure out how to handle issues that now fall fully on their shoulders. It remains to be seen if they can preserve the unity she worked so hard to maintain, or if the loss of her calming presence will continue to widen the cracks already showing in the family's foundation. As personal grudges, public scandals, and generational divides continue to shape the royal family, the question remains, can they find common ground? Or is this the beginning of a permanent fracture? The answer will depend on how open they are to change, compromise, and a willingness to leave old wounds behind. Whether they succeed or not will likely define the monarchy's role in a world that moves faster than ever. And for these royals, it's not just about saving face. It's about preserving a family unit that carries centuries of history, all while trying to stay relevant for generations yet to come.
And I have been so deeply moved and humbled by their truly remarkable courage and by their selfless capacity for forgiveness, despite all that they have suffered.
King Charles can finally share what happened is sure to make jaws drop. For decades, rumors and whispers surrounded the real story behind Charles and Diana's marriage, leaving fans with burning questions. Now, after years of regret and hidden truth, Charles is ready to spill the details that could change everything we thought we knew. From unexpected revelations to shocking confessions, nothing remains off limits in this tell-all.
And I also wanted to say how particularly moved and enormously comforted my children and I were, and indeed still are, by the public response to Diana's death.
Are you ready to hear the scandal that could rewrite entire royal history? Early spotlight on King Charles. From the moment he was born on November 14, 1948, King Charles lived in the public eye like few others. Being the first child of Queen Elizabeth II placed him in line for the British throne at just a few years old. As soon as his mother succeeded to the throne in 1952, Charles's every move became news. Journalists and photographers followed him constantly, capturing everything from his first steps to his school outings. This early attention brought both excitement and hardship. On one hand, Charles enjoyed privileges such as living in grand palaces and traveling around the world with his parents. On the other hand, the weight of future responsibility cast a long shadow. He could not simply play outside without a chaperone, or make casual friends without those friendships ending up in the papers. Knowing that he would eventually become king brought an expectation of perfect behavior and never-ending etiquette lessons. As a child, Charles took part in public events that most people never experience. He had to attend formal ceremonies, greet dignitaries, and smile for countless photographs. His parents were often busy with their own duties, so he sometimes felt distant from them. This early exposure to royal life taught him that leadership is more than just ribbon cutting and waving. It involves representing an entire nation and keeping up an image of respect and tradition. Yet Charles remained a curious young boy, eager to learn. He loved the outdoors, playing sports and exploring nature whenever possible. Despite all the ceremony around him, he tried to embrace any normal childhood moment he could find. This dual existence, being both a young heir and a child wanting freedom, shaped his perspective on duty and personal happiness. Over the years, the world watched him grow, picking apart every detail of his upbringing, from his choice of school to his friendships. While the spotlight was harsh, it also formed him into the resolute individual he would become. He learned to handle media pressure, stand by his values, and balance tradition with personal growth. Those early years in the public eye laid the groundwork for his eventual role as Britain's monarch. Challenging childhood. Although King Charles was born into privilege, his childhood was far from easy. In public, he seemed to have it all: a royal title, a future throne, and enrollment in prestigious schools. But behind the castle walls, he faced emotional hurdles that shaped who he is today. He often spoke of feeling somewhat isolated, since his parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, had demanding schedules and many official duties. As a result, they were often away, leaving young Charles under the care of nannies and tutors. He once admitted that his parents could be both physically and emotionally distant. Growing up under such circumstances, he struggled to find genuine warmth and affection. Many times his reserved nature was misunderstood as aloofness, but it stemmed from a lack of open, playful interaction within his family. Like any sensitive child, he longed for approval and closeness. Additionally, constant media attention made it hard for him to form normal friendships. Classmates sometimes teased him, either because of his royal status or his gentle nature. While many assumed being a prince meant an easy life, it actually invited extra scrutiny. Every quirk or emotion he showed sparked feedback from both peers and the wider public. This pressure taught him to shield his feelings, shaping the more guarded side of his personality that people would later observe. However, these hardships also contributed to his ability to empathize with others, since he knew how it felt to be lonely and misunderstood. Charles developed a softer side. In time, he became known for his desire to protect the environment and uplift charitable causes. There is a belief that his early emotional battles gave him a strong sense of compassion for the struggles of everyday people. Overcoming a challenging childhood was no small feat. Charles had to navigate formal expectations, media glare, and his own yearning for unconditional love. These factors fueled both his insecurities and his determination to do well by his future subjects. In many ways, his youthful trials served as stepping stones toward a more empathetic approach to leadership. highlighting how even a prince can grow through adversity. Gordonstoun School Experience. Gordonstoun School became a defining chapter of King Charles's youth. Founded by German educator Kurt Hahn, the school was known for its strict discipline, outdoor challenges, and emphasis on self-reliance. Prince Philip, Charles's father, believed that Gordonstoun would make his son tougher, more independent, and ready for the demands of royal life. Though the school was among the most respected in the United Kingdom, it was also notorious for its rigorous routines. For young Charles, the transition was tough. He was a sensitive boy, more inclined toward quiet reflection than braving cold mornings and adventure drills. At Gordonstoun, students were expected to wake up early to take cold showers, keep their dormitories spotless, and participate in various sports. The school highlighted character growth through hardship, a principle that clashed with Charles's gentle manner. He found the days exhausting and sometimes felt overwhelmed by the physical demands and the teasing he faced from classmates. Still, he would later admit that his time at Gordonstoun shaped his resilience and helped him discover inner strengths. He learned how to handle criticism, adapt to unfamiliar settings, and rely on himself in challenging situations. In a 1975 interview, he reflected that the school taught him much about his own abilities, hinting that the difficulties sparked personal growth. He also said that his father's insistence on sending him there, though harsh at times, forced him to confront the real world in ways a pampered prince rarely would. Beyond discipline, Gordonstoun offered Charles opportunities in leadership. The school believed in giving senior students responsibility to oversee younger ones, which helped Charles practice guiding and supporting peers. He also found moments to appreciate nature, exploring the rugged landscape surrounding the campus. That closeness with nature might have nurtured his lifelong advocacy for environmental causes. Despite the strictness, he later expressed gratitude for his Gordonstoun experience. While he often joked that his father's choice of school was a harsh move for someone so sensitive, he ultimately acknowledged its benefits. By enduring trials of physical endurance, structure, and teamwork, Charles discovered personal qualities that would serve him well as he prepared for the responsibilities of a future king. University Education King. Charles's choice to attend university was a defining moment that broke royal tradition and sparked debate within the British royal family. Typically, heirs to the throne were expected to enter military service straight after their formal schooling. However, Charles had other plans. After completing his A-levels at Gordonstoun, he announced his intent to pursue a degree at the University of Cambridge. Many in the royal circle were uneasy about this decision, fearing it might reflect poorly on him as a future monarch. Critics claimed it showed a lack of discipline and a desire to dodge the rigors of military life. Yet Charles stood firm, determined to prove that scholarship and service could go hand in hand. Despite the stir it caused, his time at Cambridge became an invaluable experience. He studied anthropology, archaeology, and history, eventually earning a second-class lower Bachelor of Arts, an achievement that made him the first British heir apparent to receive a university degree. During his studies, the media kept a close watch on his every move. Reports of Charles strolling through campus with classmates or attending social events always made headlines, reflecting a public keenly curious about how he would balance academic pursuits with his royal obligations. For Charles, this period was about more than attending lectures and writing essays. It allowed him a taste of relative independence, a chance to mingle with fellow students and immerse himself in intellectual debate. He engaged in discussions ranging from historical events to global challenges, broadening his cultural awareness. This exposure seemed to strengthen his worldview and shape his future philanthropic interests. In particular, experiencing life beyond palace walls helped him understand ordinary people's struggles, an understanding that would later influence his passion for charitable causes. Still, not everyone was so accepting of his academic adventure. Some family members felt that time spent away from official duties hindered his readiness for the crown. Yet, Charles's resolve only grew stronger in the face of doubt. Even as tension brewed within the royal household, he persisted, focusing on exams and forming friendships that would last for years. Military career. After earning his university degree, King Charles turned his attention to the military, a path many had expected him to follow from the start. Criticism had built up when he initially postponed his service, with voices suggesting he feared the harsh environment. Yet Charles was determined to prove otherwise. Early in his second year at Cambridge, he requested Royal Air Force training, surprising both the public and members of his family. This move signaled his readiness to take on physically and mentally demanding challenges. Charles began his preparatory instruction by studying a range of technical subjects, including aerodynamics, navigation, and aviation medicine. According to Air Chief Marshal Sir Richard Johns, who oversaw parts of Charles's training, the young man displayed remarkable concentration and a fierce determination to excel. While critics still questioned whether a sensitive prince could handle strict discipline, Charles's instructors saw a different side, a focused student who refused to fail. His military journey didn't end with the RAF. Charles soon embarked on a career in the Royal Navy, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. He took an accelerated course at Britannia Royal Naval College, quickly adjusting to life on ships, destroyers, and frigates. Over time, he served as a gunnery officer on the HMS Minerva and took on responsibilities that tested both his leadership and technical skills. His active involvement in real operations, such as monitoring a Soviet submarine, showcased his calm under pressure and willingness to adapt to life at sea. One highlight of Charles's service was his development as a pilot. He spent countless hours in the cockpit, perfecting maneuvers and formation flying. His dedication paid off when he earned the Double Diamond Trophy, marking him as one of the top pilots in his class. Eventually, Charles advanced to commanding officer of the minesweeper HMS Brownington, where he led a small crew through routine exercises and real missions involving leftover World War II ordnance. By December 1976, he concluded his active military career with the rank of commander. Though some once doubted his ability to withstand rigorous training, he left with a record that spoke volumes about his commitment and skill. In many ways, his time in uniform demonstrated that a future monarch could balance tradition with personal ambition, all while earning the respect of both royal and military circles. It was one more stepping stone on a journey that would soon lead him to a deeply complex chapter of life. Meeting Princess Diana. Meeting Princess Diana. The story of King Charles meeting Princess Diana often leads to mention of a shooting party hosted by Diana's older sister, Sarah. But according to Charles himself, their very first meeting happened in a less glamorous setting, a freshly plowed field. In that moment, Diana was a shy 16-year-old, while Charles was in his late 20s, dating Sarah. Despite the age gap and the prince's existing relationship, Diana captured Charles's attention. He was charmed by her youthful spirit and unique warmth, but with his eyes fixed on Sarah at the time, he barely acted on those feelings. Not long after, Charles joined Sarah for a ski trip, and their blossoming relationship was widely documented by the media, who celebrated them as a potential match. Behind the scenes, though, something else was happening. During a gathering at Sarah's invitation, Charles and Diana ended up talking in private. She led him on a brief tour of her home's gallery, and he found her kindness and energy irresistible, even if he couldn't publicly show it. Meanwhile, Diana was flattered by the prince's genuine interest. Yet the situation was far from simple. Sarah was still very much in the picture. In a surprising twist, Sarah herself ended up ending the relationship with Charles. She gave a frank interview to a magazine, boldly stating she was not in love with him, nor had any intention of marrying into the royal family. The public was stunned, considering how they had seemed happy together during their ski outings. Within months, Sarah married someone else, causing the media to pivot and focus on the evolving connection between Charles and Diana. With Sarah now out of the equation, Charles felt freer to pursue the younger sister who had captivated him from that first encounter. Still, there were unavoidable concerns about their 12-year age difference and Diana's limited experience with the public eye. Undeterred, they began seeing more of each other. The royal family, always conscious of appearances, kept a close watch on their dates, intrigued by the possibility that Diana might be a suitable bride for the future king. Marriage to Diana. The marriage of King Charles and Princess Diana was hailed as the event of the century, a dazzling ceremony watched by hundreds of millions worldwide. From the outside, it looked like the ultimate fairy tale. Royal pomp, horse-drawn carriages, and a stunning bride adored by onlookers everywhere she went. Yet beneath the grand displays of love and pageantry, trouble brewed. Diana, who was only 20 when she wed the future king, soon found that royal life was far more complex than she had imagined. One early warning sign came during their engagement interview. When asked if they were in love, Diana confidently said yes, but Charles replied, "Whatever in love means." His awkward response drew public concern, and privately, Diana admitted that it hurt. Troubles mounted further during their engagement when she discovered Charles had purchased a gift for his ex-girlfriend, Camilla Parker Bowles. Though Diana considered calling off the wedding, she pressed on, buoyed by her sister's support, but harboring deep fears about Charles's loyalty. Their wedding day remained a spectacle of joy, at least to the millions watching on television. Behind the scenes, however, cracks formed in the marriage almost immediately. Diana struggled with the relentless scrutiny of the press and the expectations placed on her as a royal wife. Charles, meanwhile, did little to hide his lingering attachment to Camilla, fueling Diana's worries and later her heartbreak. Over time, the emotional strain took a visible toll. Diana spoke openly about her feelings of inadequacy, and Charles, unsure how to handle her distress, seemed to drift further away. Eventually, the rumors of Charles's ongoing affair became impossible to ignore. Diana confronted Camilla directly, pleading for her to leave Charles alone. When that failed, the tension boiled over, leaving Diana feeling more isolated than ever. The media, hungry for drama, devoured every hint of conflict. The final blow arrived when intimate phone conversations between Charles and Camilla leaked to the press, exposing the true extent of their relationship. Faced with a scandal that rocked the monarchy, Charles publicly admitted the affair. A deeply wounded Diana, in turn, shared her side in televised interviews, famously remarking that, "There were 3 of us in this marriage." In 1992, they formally separated, finalizing their divorce in 1996. What began as a fairy tale had become a cautionary story of love, betrayal, and public intrusion, forever shaping how the world viewed the House of Windsor and the couple at its center: infidelity and marital troubles. The marriage of King Charles and Princess Diana was once the world's favorite fairy tale, but underlying tensions and hidden affections soon cast a shadow over their union. Early on, Diana sensed Charles's lingering fondness for his former flame, Camilla Parker Bowles. Although Diana hoped that marriage and motherhood would draw Charles closer, those dreams gradually faded as Camilla remained in the picture. Hurt and confused, Diana confronted Charles about the gift he had bought Camilla shortly before their wedding, an omen that her new life might not be a peaceful one. Taking on royal duties brought more public attention, leaving little room for private resolutions. Diana tried to hold her marriage together despite feeling increasingly overshadowed by Camilla's presence. Pleas and direct confrontations proved fruitless. Charles, meanwhile, seemed torn between his sense of duty to Diana and his emotional history with Camilla. Eventually, their marital strains spilled over into media reports, fueling endless tabloid gossip. Every time Diana appeared at a public event looking downcast or teary-eyed, the press speculated about Charles's behavior and the cracks in their relationship. The unsustainable tension came to a head when intimate phone conversations between Charles and Camilla leaked, confirming beyond doubt that the prince had continued his affair. The tapes featured candid exchanges, revealing the depth of their emotional bond. As these calls became front-page news, any hope of salvaging the royal marriage dimmed. In a bid to manage the crisis, Charles sat down for a televised interview where he finally admitted to cheating on Diana. This public confession shattered the prince's carefully managed image of respectability and left Diana feeling betrayed on a global stage. Although the divorce was still months away, the emotional damage was done. Diana's heartbreak and Charles's public mea culpa generated an unending storm of media scrutiny. Many who had idolized Charles for his dedication to royal duty now questioned his character. Some sympathized with Diana, seeing her as a young woman thrust into an unforgiving spotlight and betrayed by her husband's continued closeness to Camilla. Others blamed both sides, arguing that royal life created pressures no marriage could endure. By the time legal separation became official, the couple's relationship had devolved into a series of painful headlines and regretful revelations. What started as a storybook wedding in front of nearly 1 billion onlookers turned into a cautionary tale of unresolved past relationships, public obsession, and the heavy toll of infidelity on even the most glamorous unions. Diana's struggles and legacy. When Diana entered the royal family, many saw her as the embodiment of a real-life Cinderella. A shy, young nursery school assistant swept up in a dazzling romance with the future king. Yet almost from the start, she struggled beneath the intense spotlight and the rigid protocols of royal life. Her natural warmth often clashed with the formal reserve expected of a princess, and every misstep drew tabloid headlines. Over time, these pressures took a serious emotional toll, leaving her feeling isolated and unsure of whom to trust. Beyond her marital woes, Diana battled personal insecurities. She spoke candidly about her struggle with bulimia, which she traced directly to the emotional pain and self-doubt she experienced in her relationship with Charles. Whenever she felt anxious about an upcoming event or a perceived rejection, the pressure became unbearable. Her willingness to open up about bulimia shattered royal norms, exposing a frank vulnerability that endeared her to millions who recognized their own battles in her story. Despite these struggles, Diana found her own voice and sense of purpose through humanitarian work. Early on, she displayed a gift for connecting with people from all walks of life. Children facing critical illness, victims of poverty, and those living with HIV/AIDS all found a compassionate ally in Diana, who wasn't afraid to kneel down, embrace them, and show a human touch that broke centuries of royal formality. This empathy became a hallmark of her public persona, earning her the nickname, the People's Princess. Even as her marriage unraveled, Diana's global reputation soared, buoyed by her devotion to charitable causes. She visited hospitals, comforted the sick, and championed controversial topics like landmine clearance. Though her personal life remained fraught with heartbreak, Diana's work on behalf of the marginalized offered a sense of meaning. In telling the world about her own pain, she helped to break stigmas surrounding mental health while using her platform to shine a spotlight on overlooked communities. By the time she and Charles divorced, Diana's place in history had already been secured. Her tragic death in 1997 only cemented her status as a beloved icon whose struggles made her relatable and whose compassion inspired countless others. Today, her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, carry her legacy forward with their own charitable projects and public engagements. Through them and the countless lives she touched, Diana's spirit endures, reminding the world of the power in empathy, vulnerability, and the courage to speak one's truth.